for tuning in. We really appreciate it. This is Natso Batur. I'm the U.S. Director of the American Center for Mongolian Studies. ACMS we're a nonprofit educational organization that supports academic projects and exchanges between the United States and Mongolia as part of the Inter-Asian region. I do want to note that this session is being live streamed on Facebook, and a more abridged cut will be published on our YouTube channel. As our speaker is going to be presenting live, please mute your mics and leave your questions in the chat. We'll try to address them during the Q&A session. And if you'd like to be informed about our future lectures like this, we also have a panel, and we host Mongolian panels and lectures in the even months and English ones in the odd months. And this being November, we have the pleasure of hosting a very important speaker. But just wanted to say behind me is the mailing list that you can join, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. But as I said, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our speaker today, Ms. Tsogtsaikhan, who is the founder and director of Breathe Mongolia, Clean Air Coalition. And let me just share the... Tsogtsaikhan is the founder and director of Breathe Mongolia Clean Air Coalition, which is a grassroots nonprofit registered in the US and in Mongolia. A peaceful demonstration against air pollution at Times Square in New York City turned into a dedicated team of diverse backgrounds from 10 countries to arm people with resources to end air pollution in Mongolia. Her team created a bilingual interactive platform to educate the public, collaborate with stakeholders, and conduct watchdog activities on the air pollution intervention policies of Mongolia. She's a trained climate reality leader with a certificate from the SSPH Plus Summer School in Public Health Policy, Economics, and Management in Lugano, Switzerland. Atza is OpenAQ Community Ambassador, which is a program designed to amplify the impact of individuals who are committed to fighting air inequality through open data and community. She earned 2 U.S. Presidential Volunteer Service Awards and IBM's Gold Badge for her volunteer work. Atza currently works at IBM in New York as an analyst after earning an MBA degree at Marriott School of Management at Brigham Young University in the US, and a Bachelor of Business at the University of Technology, Sydney, Australia. She consulted on various projects with companies such as Adobe, Cummins, A. Schulman, and ConAgra Foods Inc. During her MBA program, she co-founded the US branch of Lantundakha, which a lot of you may know, children's rights advocacy and anti-human trafficking and domestic violence in Mongolia, advocacy anti-human trafficking group in Mongolia and worldwide. She seeks to use technology and her global opportunities to utilize top talent for the betterment of her homeland. When she's not working, she loves to dance salsa, learn foreign languages, and travel the world. All right, with that, it is my pleasure to introduce, welcome Atza to the stage.
All right, thank you. As Natsu already introduced me, so I don't need to go into detail about me. Just one little extra thing about me is that I'm very passionate about Mongolian culture, and for the last 5 years, I've been promoting our culture in different countries and cities, especially in New York City. And here's a picture of me with Baldarich, the director of the organization, when we advocated for the correct use of the term Mongol. And gave an interview to BBC World News and all that. So because I'm very proud of my country and my culture and my heritage, I couldn't stop but to obviously care for all the social issues too. And one of the issues that really breaks my heart is air pollution in Mongolia. And I think there was a noise. So I really want to promote my country and culture. And meanwhile, I also want to contribute to solving the various problems, especially air pollution. So that's why we created Breathe Mongolia Clean Air Coalition. And our mission is to arm people with the resources to end air pollution in our own country. And as you know, Mongolia is one of the most polluted countries in the world. And in 2019, we were #1 in terms of air, soil, and water pollution. And even 2020, we ranked #4. compared to number 3 in the world, right next to countries with millions and billions of people like Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India, and all that. It's quite ridiculous and very heartbreaking, obviously. And if you look at some health data, 3 of the main top 10 killers of Mongolians, for example, heart disease, stroke, and lung cancer, they all are quite impacted by air pollution. And the latest research even that's coming out says that air pollution can contribute to, can contribute to the entire body system, even like bladder cancer, stomach cancer, and all that. So this is a public health crisis and major human rights violation that's happening in Mongolia. And as Natso commented earlier, the way we got started was just a normal citizens' concern across the world, especially in New York City. And then this movement, this peaceful demonstration raising awareness about this crisis happened in Chicago or in Europe and obviously in Mongolia too. And then our team met later on in California and we started a nonprofit. And you can see, if you've been to Mongolia, this is how bad it can be. And a lot of people talk about respiratory health when they think about air pollution, but it affects the brain development, it affects neurological system. And as you can see, there was even a study in 2014 that 42% of all the stroke deaths in Mongolia are attributable to air pollution. And some of our members' mothers suffer from asthma and even stroke at very young age. It's incredibly disastrous over there. And this is a measurement of a sensor, air pollution sensor, inside a children's hospital. This PM 2.5 measurement is pretty much equivalent to a packet of cigarettes. So imagine a child being born inside a hospital and have to breathe this toxic air. And this is not just a problem in UB. This is a center of Urhanga province in Arwahir. And wherever we're burning coal and fossil fuel and biomass, and wherever we're driving extremely old cars with very low quality fuel, this is where we have air pollution. So every province, every city has air pollution crisis. And you can see this is from Gogo. This is right next to a coal refinery plant in Sangin Handuruk, 22nd Hara in Newby. And this is a neighborhood right next to a coal refinery, the refined coal that people started using in the capital city. And imagine breathing this and imagine little children playing in this environment. And this is ambient outdoor air, right? And because of poor insulation, ventilation system, we have the same problem indoors too. These are measurements by Kaitero sensors inside kindergarten, school, gym, and playground. It's 999. We don't know if it's 2,000. This is the max that the sensor can measure. So we don't know if it's 2,000 or 3,000. And, safe level, although there is really no safe level of pollution, it should be at least like 25, but you can see, 300, 250. So this is also another area that we really have to be aware when we think about air pollution. It's not only outdoors, but it's only indoors. And since we spend 80, 90% of our time indoors, especially during, lockdown, if our children are breathing this inside their classrooms, in their homes, there's nowhere safe for them to be healthy. And just like with any environmental or public health issue, there is no one cause, there is no one impact, there is no one solution. it's a multi-sectored, very complex issue that has to do with many moving parts. Basically, our air pollution is a symptom of a developmental challenge. And there are consequences, not only in terms of our public health, population's public health, but their socioeconomic status. Parents have to sometimes quit work when their children keep getting sick, or especially mothers have to be absent from work to take care for the children, or parents die early, they have stroke very early on, they lose their capacity to work and all that, and it's causing us to have so much budget loss. For example, here, in terms of health costs, it can be as bad as almost 20% of our capital city's GDP. And if we just sum up why we're still struggling to solve this health disaster, is that our population and the decision makers, they still need to be continually educated, continually understand the health impact of this situation, and continually be reminded that we're still having this problem. It's not like, just because the pollution decreased a little bit in this particular year for one type of pollution, that doesn't mean that the pollution issue is solved. So there's a weak knowledge and awareness among the entire country. And also, when stakeholders work, they work in silos and they don't exchange information as much, or they repeat each other's mistakes. And then when policies or regulations are passed, they're not so well thought out. There are no effective success metrics, and there's not enough implementation, or not enough funding, or the policies and regulations are not coherent. They don't build upon each other, and there's not enough oversight, both from decision makers and the public. And it has to do, obviously, with knowledge and our public's lack of capacity to watchdog or to demand accountability and transparency. And that's something we still need to work on. And there are many things that have been done over the last almost 2 decades, and 260 billion Togriks was spent on different interventions, such as improved stoves, or banning the use of raw coal in the capital, while we're still using raw coal in the countryside. And we're improving the green financing, green taxonomy structure in our country. And finally, the decision makers are understanding that insulation or energy efficiency is key to also reducing our fossil fuel usage, and switching to electric heaters from stoves, or connecting to the grid and centralized heating system is another progress that we need to make. But if still half of the country is not connected to the grid, and they're still burning fossil fuel and biomass in their homes. All right. We're working on it. And another issue that I wanted to highlight was that the way we communicate air quality. When we communicate the quality of air to the public, we focus on the level of pollution. I should have put it in Mongolian, but it says, clean, normal. This is the air quality index, and then little pollution, polluted, very polluted, very, very polluted. That's how they communicate the air quality indexes to the public, while the EPA and the International Air Quality Index focuses on the health impact, that it's unhealthy for sensitive groups, hazardous. They use much stronger words, and they emphasize that it's unhealthy air, not just polluted air. And the categories of the degree of pollution is also slightly different for us. as you can see. And when it comes to accessing air quality data, we can only access the air quality index as of 2018-19. We no longer can see the physical measurement of a particulate matter. For example, we can only see it as an index. If we need raw data, we'd have to pay for it. We'd have to go through some bureaucratic procedure, request it from the meteorological agency. We can no longer download it from platforms such as openaq.org. Right, and then just like us, people in Mongolia, they complained about as they grew to know about the health impact of air pollution. As they got frustrated, they made a change.org petition a while ago to the UN, and UN said that UN is not going to fix air pollution problem in Mongolia. We will advise the government and all the other different stakeholders, but this is the job of the government, the private sector, the civic society organizations, and the public to create a green, safe, and clean environment so people can breathe clean air. So this just shows that this is nobody's responsibility but ours to fix this problem. And that's why Breathe Mongolia exists. We have volunteers from 10 countries working in different sectors. Some are high school students, some are college students or PhD students, or working professionals of different ages and different sectors. And this is our team. Because of COVID, we didn't get together in person to take this photo, so we just have this nice collage. As you can see different nationalities, not only Mongolians who are living in Mongolia or abroad. You can see somebody from India who's never been to Mongolia, or the US who's also never been to Mongolia. And we have we don't have our team member from Kenya. But as soon as people hear, whether they're Mongolian or non-Mongolian, when they learn about how dangerous it is just to breathe, especially for children, everyone wants to make a difference. Everyone wants to contribute. It just breaks their heart. And that passion translates into action on the ground within their own different capacities. And this is the leadership of the team. We have Oyunga. She's in California. She is a geoscientist, but also a software engineer. Haley, she was a software engineer, but she finished public policy and urban planning master's just recently. Now she works as a project manager in the urban planning sector as well, the public transportation sector. And then in Hong, she joined us as a high school student, recent high school graduate, and she's almost done with her college now. She's studying international development and sustainability, environmental science. And then Amra, she's in the meeting right now. She has a long list of credentials, but is a PhD and an expert in global health, in maternal and child health and policy and all that. And Jenny, she is a Fulbright exchange from the US who lived in Mongolia, and she obviously cares about Mongolia, and she's one of our leaders. In Bachka, she finished a master's degree in international law and sustainable development from Italy. She's a Mongolian citizen. And we can go on and on with our different members from across the world. We have Azjargal, she's a behavioral scientist in Mongolia. She's been with us from the beginning as well and advises us on important projects. So, as I mentioned before, lack of education and stakeholders working in silos, or lack of coherent or monitored policy are some of the main issues that we are struggling to solve this problem. Hence, what we do is to resolve these three main areas. We provide education and resources so that people can increase in their understanding and knowledge and awareness in both languages. So foreign scientists or foreign journalists can understand what's going on in English language, and local Mongolians, they can understand what's going on in our country, what's going on in the world, what's the latest research, and what they can do in real life on the ground to protect their family and reduce their own emissions. And then we also want to collaborate and support the other organizations, because this is not one organization's job. Everyone has to work together, just like the UN said. And then there needs to be accountability system. There needs to be transparency when it comes to policy and its implementation. And some of the things we've done so far is that I showed you the video earlier. This is Hisko. He's an activist and artist in Melbourne, Australia, but he's Mongolian. He ended up giving interview to ABC News about the issue. We worked with investigative journalists of Mongolia to understand why the air quality index is showing different on low-cost sensors and government stations. And then we translated the National Statistics Committee report into English from Mongolian, so that everyone is on the same page with the latest numbers when it comes to air pollution health impact. And then we also edited the handbook that was created by another organizations, such as People in Need, a nonprofit in Mongolia. We worked with UNICEF at the international conference. Also, we worked with, again, People in Need Mongolia on children's masks for COVID as well. And one of the projects that we launched early this year is Azjargal. I'll show you a really brief demo. And this is a knowledge management center in both languages, English and Mongolian. And we have the latest projects about air pollution, latest news and latest resources and related to air pollution and climate change in Mongolia. And you can also see who is working on what as well. You can see like the different organizations, the different stakeholders. Remember how I said that there's not enough information exchange or awareness or collaboration between organizations. We wanted to address that through this platform, where even government organizations, international nonprofits, or local little nonprofits or private sectors who are passionate about air pollution and making an impact on the ground, they can become members here for free. They can upload their resources, their latest research, their reports. They can also, you can search it by, different types of keywords or different organizations, and then by different languages as well. So just for the researchers here or students who want to understand what's happening, who's doing what, you'll be able to get the latest information from here. And if you have a paper that you want to publicize, or if you have an organization that is working on this issue, you're welcome to join. Everything is for free. It's been financed by Swiss Development Agency, and then also supported by the government and led by UNICEF Mongolia. And then some of the members who worked on this are from Singapore, San Francisco, from Michigan, and UB. Talent from all around the world and different nationalities too. Another one that we've done as a team is that obviously our own website. It's a map. It's an interactive map of Mongolia. Right now, you can only see, especially in Mongolian language, only the air quality of the capital city. But on our map, it's a custom-made map, and we have over 50 stations. And not only UB, you can see the air quality in other provinces and cities of Mongolia. Because as you can see, even though here UB ranks number 13 in the world in terms of air quality index currently. Here in Tsogtsaikhan, air quality index is even higher. It's ranking number one in the world. Even worse, we have this is Bayankhongor province, and it's even worse than the most polluted city in the world right now. So everyone has the right to science in our country, and they have the right to know how bad the air they're breathing. So we have this interactive map that anyone can access in both languages. And we're also working on making it into a mobile app as well. And then we have this air quality improvement zone where we translated a government document into a digital interactive map so that citizens in UB can know that in these green areas and districts in Haras, they're not allowed to burn any fuel, fossil biomass fuel like coal or wood and all that. And in these yellow areas, they'll be connected to electricity, so they can heat their homes with electric heater. There are 89,000 of them that this year that the government promised to connect them to the grid, and we'll have to follow up on this and report on it by the end of the year. And then these orange areas, they're not going to be connected to the grid. They will have to use the refined coal. And this district here in Bagnor, they are not going to be using the improved coal. They'll have to burn raw coal. And we don't have sensors there. So we don't know how bad it is. So as you can see, there's plenty of space to cover to make sure that residents know what kind of air they're breathing and what they can do about it. And we even have it, hey, if this air is this bad, use an air purifier. Watch your blood pressure because you might have a stroke. So these are some of the things we've done so far. And I'll just finish off with everything else too. I just wanted to demonstrate, this is a global effort, right? And these are everyday citizens with different qualifications and different expertise, but everyone is doing what they can to create this tools and resources for free. And this map was designed by designers in San Francisco, Mexico, and engineers made by engineers in West Coast. And just recently, we also co-hosted and organized Unleash Hackathon to promote the creation and use of digital tools to fight air pollution in Mongolia. And some of our members and advisors were participated as experts and mentors for these young people in Mongolia, and many private sectors such as Step Group. They also sponsored the event, and also UNICEF and Swiss Development Agency, they sponsored the event. It was a big success. Young people got to learn about air pollution, got to understand the issues on the ground, that they got to come up with their own solutions as well. And we supported with social media content. We made the handbook, so they have some background understanding and the landscape assessment of the issue. We just launched this Take Action project as well. Volunteers from Hungary, Germany, Japan, and UB contributed to that. And this is an ongoing project that everyone is welcome to join in. What this is we have this Take Action platform on our page, and we wanted to let everyone know what they can do exactly. We always say, oh, the air pollution is bad, oh, we're dying, we're getting sick. But what can you specifically do that's realistic? And just telling people, oh, close your windows or wear your mask, or stop riding a bicycle, stop using old car is not enough. Obviously, it's not realistic. So we break it down. when we tell people to wear a mask, we will show what that looks like in real life, and then we tell them why it's important. We have them take a pledge, online pledge, and also we have them watch videos. And if we can't find good quality videos, we make our own as well. And then they can just see like who is how to choose it, when to wear it, how to dispose of it, what are some of the mistakes. So the same thing goes for the different actions that we can take. We say half of our men in Mongolia smoke, and they produce. That's actually old data, and the recent unofficial data is now it's up to almost 70%, which is very tragic. And one of our members, Amra, she's in the meeting. She also has studied that at least one house, every household has at least one smoker in the home, which is extremely, extremely dangerous for neurological development of children. So instead of also saying, telling people how to quit smoking, we also tell them how to protect themselves from smoking, how to ask somebody to stop smoking, how to, why you shouldn't smoke indoors, and then how you can also cope with stress and all that. So and then we provide additional resources for people. So we're building up this database of like at least 20, 30 actions that people can take realistically on the ground in Mongolian context. So we are quite proud of this project and obviously very grateful to our volunteers. And the same thing, we had more designers and engineers from different countries. In some of my colleagues at IBM, even in UK, they volunteered as well. And then we created, obviously with COVID, we had to do something with COVID too. As soon as the pandemic started, we knew it was going to be bad in Mongolia. So we started tracking down all the important events. So if you go to our website in the COVID timeline, you will see since the outbreak in China, what's happened around the world and specifically in Mongolia in 2 languages. So it'll be quite useful for journalists as well. And then we also created some reports on the money that's coming into the country. As a developing country, we love to receive money and we don't always pay it back or use it properly. So we wanted to make sure that there's oversight on it too. And then we created graphs on it, and even the UN report used that too. And we disclosed or just reported from public information how much different organizations gave us as a loan or grant and what the promise was to use them for different things. And then once we released it, the word got to the Ministry of Finance. They did a live reporting on Eagle News that they deleted later on, but we kept the record. And they reported on, yes, this money, we received these funds, we promised to use them for these, and these are like the receipts from the Central Bank of Mongolia and all that. So we want to educate the public and everyday citizens to monitor what's happening with the money that's coming and what's happening with all the promises, the fancy promises that our decision makers or leaders are making, because without accountability, without transparency, there is no action, there is no progress. And just recently, our volunteers in UB and Korea, our PhD and scientists, they translated the joint statement by hundreds of experts around the world on the new updated global air quality guideline. And if anybody is joining from Mongolia, you're also welcome to agree with this joint statement that any level of pollution is dangerous. All the countries should be working towards reducing their accepted level or safe level of pollution instead of just like sticking to it year from year to year and saying like, oh, we're good. And the entire world needs to understand that there's no safe level of pollution. We can no longer be passive and complacent when it comes to air quality. It's a global health crisis. And then just recently, we participated in the Science, Technology, Human Rights Conference as a panelist. And then with COP26, we also raised our voices along with other activists in air pollution and climate change in a video called Changing Skies. If you want to watch it, changingskies.mn is where the videos are. And it's been sponsored by UNICEF, Swiss Development Agency, and led by people in need. We got to participate in it. So everyone needs to work together, raising awareness locally and globally to tackle this issue. And on top of that, we produce our own articles written by different experts, volunteers. We produce our different, just link to the resources that are available, and extended version of it is agarnik.mn. And then we use social media also. We don't want this to be a depressing, boring, inaccessible topic. So we use social media quite a bit to raise awareness among the young people, so they become sustainable, environmental, green leaders. And not only, when they're choosing the careers, they're not just thinking about business or law or about making money, but they're thinking about public health, human rights, environment. And this is just a demonstration of one of the memes we replicated for our own use. As you know, if you've been to Turkey, there are these ice cream men who sell ice cream, but we can get it.
Is your screen share on? It looks like it's cut off. Can you share your screen again? Thank you.
Oh, wait, you couldn't see my screen for a while?
Just in the last few minutes.
Oh, just last few minutes? Okay, hold on. Can you see it now?
No,
okay, hold on.
still no.
Okay.
Oh yeah, now we can see it. Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. So this is the meme we replicated for our use. Right, this is just an example of how we try to make it fun and accessible and get people to care, become curious, and educate them at the same time, and mobilize them and help them become active citizens. How do I? Okay, here. So there are lots of things that you can do to fight air pollution. You don't have to be an air pollution scientist. You don't have to be a government official. Only you can have expertise in all kinds of fields, and you can still contribute as a global citizen or local citizen in Mongolia, or as a professional as well. And then some of the tools we use are some of the latest tools that private sectors are using, and it's almost like a startup, tech startup. And having started using these tools from the beginning really helped us. We had a smooth transition, or really didn't have any transition during COVID. And then I'm sure you use some of these too. And then we also building capacity. So just recently, our members earned certificate from the Lugano Summer School in Public Health Policy in Switzerland. And then last year, our members got to take master classes for free. We found a grant for our volunteers, and we also got to present what's happening to international students during the summer course. And then our volunteers have worked or work in these different private sectors, as well as other nonprofit organizations and academic sector as well. So if anybody wants to collaborate with us, partner with us, or volunteer for us, or advise us, you're welcome. Our doors are open because it's a global effort and everyone is affected by air pollution in the entire world. Mongolia is one of the worst. So thank you very much, and I welcome questions.
Yes, I am Nomin. I'm currently writing a paper on air pollution in Mongolia. And because my seminar was on health policy, I am really interested in what the Mongolian government and the other stakeholders are doing to improve the health situation of people that are sick due to air pollution. And like one of the few things I could find was that one of the health ministers suggested to send newborns and new mothers to a 1 week health resort, and then the Mongolians weren't fond of it, so it got declined. And because like if the government is doing something, only the two ministries that are involved are like the Ministry for Infrastructure and Environment and Urban Planning or Tourism, and the other one is the Ministry for Environment. But I was wondering why the Health Ministry is not also an important role, has an important status in the plannings and prevention and everything, you know. So so my question is, what is done in the health sector to get rid of all the negative impacts of air pollution in Mongolians' health?
Yeah, I would definitely say that the two main ministries that have been quite active in fighting pollution is the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Environment and Tourism. Environment and Tourism, they are the same. They're one ministry. And I agree that the Ministry of Health can be doing better, but it's not just these two ministries that they should be stepping it up. It's all the ministries, specifically, you know, the Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Construction and Infrastructure, because it's a developmental challenge. Everyone has to be involved because all the different sectors are contributing to this issue. And I know there is a development that's happening. There's a project led by UNDP to address the health issues quite a bit, and it's just getting started. So it's in the early stages where they want to study the public health, the non-communicable disease data quite a bit and collect it and analyze it to find the hot spots in different regions and work with different medical professionals in those regions. So there is progress being made, even though obviously we can always do better. So that's one of the developments that's happening. There's a website called I'm sorry, I just blanked out. Some Skywatch. I'll remember later on. I think it's like Skywatcher or something. I just blanked out. It's made by people in need, and it collects feedback from the public. So if you go to website of Azjargal Facebook, you can see that there's a little survey that people can fill out. Hey, where do you live? You know, what health issues are you facing? You know, and you can see on the map what health issues are people dealing with, and they want to take it to the next level in the second stage of that project too. So watch out for the development in those areas. And I'm sorry, what was there another question that you asked? I would just to sum up, I would say that yes, the health ministry is they have done work and they can do better, and it should be a priority on their list right next to COVID, because COVID is worsening the impact of, well, air pollution is worsening the impact of COVID. And because our population is already very extremely vulnerable, a lot more people are getting severely sick or they're dying at a higher rate because of air pollution. So that would be my answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can
Sorry,
I?
head on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, can I just add a second question? Because I read that in winter, the spending for medical, like medicine and medical service rises like about 500 tugriks on average, and mostly the people affected by air pollution the most are the vulnerable people and the poor people in the Gur district. So I was wondering, how can they finance themselves when they don't even have food for money? And actually, it's not like they don't have, they shouldn't have to bear all these consequences themselves. So it's not like in winter they get an average raise or something. Yes. So I was like really wondering, their health insurance isn't like that advanced that they also like pay you back everything. So this, for example, is like necessary, like to consider.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
Also one thing, and then I will be done. I was wondering why Bayern and Tsogtsaikhan were like so had that much of a high air pollution, because I also read that like in wintertime 80% of air pollution in the capital is due to the Gur districts. But of course in Bayern and Tsogtsaikhan there are also Gur districts, but in Ulaanbaatar it's because of the urbanization and everything that comes with that, you know. So I was really surprised when you showed us on the map that Bayern and Tsogtsaikhan were also affected by air pollution. So can you maybe explain why that is like that?
Yeah, sure. So I'll explain the first. I'll give my input on the first issue when it comes to environmental justice. Right? Not everyone is impacted by air pollution the same way, and obviously the vulnerable, not so well-doing citizens are impacted the most. There is a solution that's being implemented. It's called CHIP product, and it's heating, insulation. What was the other one? The first one? Amra, can you remind me? I'm blacking out again. It's a product by UNICEF and People in Need and other organizations, and it's a package where people who cannot afford installation project, who cannot afford electrical heaters, switching from stoves, they can get green loans at a much lower interest rate, and they don't have to pay cash to afford these items to protect their own family and also reduce their emissions. So you can look into that. They want to, I think the average price is like 100K or something, and they're making it as affordable as possible for everyone, especially those who are living in Gur districts. And if their homes are well insulated, they can use less coal, and also if they use electric heater, they can afford it, and then also the electricity bill will be low. So that's one of the interventions that are happening. The second one is that with Tsogtsaikhan and Bayern a few days ago, Hof School was ranking #1. Many of our province centers and cities are located in the valley. So the pollution that's created from burning fossil fuel doesn't go far. And also they're burning raw coal as well. And the data that says 80% of pollution in UB comes from Gur district hasn't really been validated, and we really don't know where it's coming from. We tried to investigate it. So I think this issue needs to be researched, and additional data needs to be collected to come up with more solid numbers. And I just want to say, let's not say it's coming from Gur district. let's say it's coming from household coal burning, biomass burning, and also let's remember that pollution is coming from very extremely old cars, very low quality gasoline, and are underdeveloped, not so well invested public transportation system too. So let's be careful not to just point fingers at Gear District. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think a couple of questions in the chat have already been answered, but Lillian has a question that asks, what are some of the alternative solutions for heating in rural area? I think you already mentioned it. Can you elaborate a little? Thank you.
Yeah, when it comes to heating rural area, we could have a little power plant that can provide electricity, or we can, using solar is not enough. It just doesn't produce enough energy to heat a home in -40. So unfortunately, that technology is still not there yet, even though we'd like it, or wind. So we're not there yet. So I would say the best way for now is be connected to the electricity, insulate the home, the house, or the gear at maximum, so the heat loss is at minimum and it's energy efficient, so that you can use minimal electricity to heat up the house or gear. And there are other technology that's being discussed and developed, but I don't have too much insight into that yet. Yeah. And there was a question about how do you insulate the gear. Gear Hub Mongolia does quite a bit of a good job in terms of coming up with the latest technology to effectively insulate gear, and they have workshops, they have educational materials, and so you can go to their website and learn. And they also emphasize, heat loss. And they also emphasize the condensation and everything, and that if people use some plastic within the inner layer of the gear, you would lose, the outer layers won't be as wet and won't lose as much heat and all that. So you can check it out from Gear Hub Mongolia website too.
Okay, I think Anne also had a question about what your funders are, or what range of budget your organization has. Mm-hmm. If you don't mind sharing that.
Yeah, sure. So when it comes to funding, we started officially as a nonprofit 2.5 years ago, February 2021, registered in the US, and then we registered in Mongolia last year, August. And we're a grassroots organization, as you've noticed. Pretty much everyone is a volunteer. So if you want to donate, for sure. If you want to help us find a grant, please welcome. So far, our funding has come from individual donors on Facebook. So for example, our member would announce like a Facebook fundraiser and would get a few $100 every month, or sometimes like a few $1,000s, depending on how generous the Facebook friends are. And then sometimes we get grants from corporations where I work, for example, IBM or Adobe, where our members work, and we get like $500 or $1,000 from different companies here and there. And then one of the biggest funding that we've received in our lifetime is late last year, early this year, through UNICEF. It was a $36,000 project, and all the funds went to our people who are working full-time and part-time for 5-6 months. I don't get paid. I have my full-time job, and we don't have like a permanent full-time position, paid person yet, but we've saved up some money now that we can afford a full-time person in Mongolia, not in the US. So we're looking for a full-time digital communications manager in Mongolia. And also we're looking for a part-time project manager and volunteer coordinator in Mongolia as well. So if anybody is interested in working, we have enough funds to pay for those positions. And we're always applying for different grants that are available, so we can afford to be more like the American cultural American Center for Mongolian Studies and have at least 4 or 5 full-time people. Yeah.
Wonderful, great. Yeah, best of luck in that endeavor. We actually have a couple of people really praising your work and your efforts with this important cause. One person actually said, I wonder about the connections among jobs/income, air pollution, and education, because the newer gear districts tended to be the areas burning more soft coal, and folks moving to UB was, looking for work was a more concern back in 2009. What do you think about the connection between jobs, income being, one of the factors for people burning more?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. It's a socio-economic issue, right? And it's environmental justice, where not everyone has equal access to information, equal access to resources, and to decision makers. And it's definitely an inequality issue. When I talk to people in UB, for example, taxi driver, they moved from the countryside because they couldn't find a job where in their homeland, in their hometown. They want to be close to their family. They want to live where they were born. They want to contribute to business, but there's not enough investment. There is not enough opportunity. There's corruption. So a person who wants to run a small business in the countryside are moving to UB, can't find a job. They end up being taxi drivers, breathing polluted air and getting sick. So that's definitely an inequality issue. And if you look at some economic data, in 2012, our GDP went up quite a bit because of mining sector, but the amount we allocate to education and public health budget remained the same. So you can see where our priorities are. Education and health hasn't been much of a priority, and same goes with equality, I would say. And because they cannot, when they move to the capital city, they cannot afford extremely expensive apartments, and they would have to live in Gear District in a decentralized area. Some people do want to live in a Gear District. They don't want to live with thousands of people. They want their own little backyard. If we, create the infrastructure for them with clean water, sanitation, and energy, they prefer to live, in a Gear District with their own land as well. So not everyone wants to live in a fancy apartment. And even if they live in a fancy apartment in the capital city, in the center, they're still breathing polluted air. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so since we're already over the 1 hour mark, I'll make the Breathe Mongolia, Jennifer Gentel's question, the last one. I apologize. And the Anne's question is also a very interesting one, but obviously there are already organizations in Mongolia that will work on it. But we'll do Jennifer Gentel's question, the last one. Does Breathe Mongolia have any monitoring stations set up inside gears, or do you know of any organizations compiling that data, i.e. indoor air pollution stats versus outdoor?
Yeah, so what we are doing right now is we're visualizing the monitoring station data on our map, and it has data from both outdoor stations and indoor. So if you go to our map, you will see, indoor stations as well. And the government wants to put a local sensor in every single province. UNICEF has quite a few stations that are inside kindergartens and schools. Because of COVID and lockdown, it hasn't been that consistent in terms of data collection. But the sensors are air visual or IQ air sensors. So you can get the data from organizations such as Public Lab Mongolia, or there are some purple air sensors, and their data is available for free on openaq.org as well. So there is some indoor stations, and the data is being collected. obviously there is always a need for more stations and more data and more analysis. Yeah.